just 10 seconds.
Okay, I see the notification, so.
Okay, good. Just only. Okay, got it. Yeah. No. Okay. Just yes. I'm just going to share my screen. Yeah, we have YouTube channel, Lena, and I'm just going to share this link with you. Good. Okay. Here is the link where you can also watch the session live. Okay, good. So with your permission, I would like to share my screen, right? And let me hide these control buttons. Okay, good. And I hope and strongly believe that you are seeing my screen, right?
Yes.
Can you, let me also, So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Baku Power BI, Excel, and Innovative Educators Meetup Group's 17th session in 2022. Today, first, I would like to introduce our agenda. So after introduction part of our session, I'm just going to give a little bit information about Enterprise DNA. This is an Australian educational platform that gives to full access to the attendees of Baku Power BI, Excel, and Innovative Education Meetup Groups sessions. And in other words, Enterprise DNA is our sponsor. And also, I will give a little bit information about the next session, Circle How to Construct Knowledge. And after that, we'll have our guest will be delivering speech on Azure Fundamentals. And at the end, we'll have Q&A session. So Baku Power BI, Excel, and Innovative Educators Meetup Group has roughly 324 members, 50% of which are coming from Azerbaijan, and it's sponsored by Enterprise DNA. So Enterprise DNA is a great place where you can get the necessary information related to Power BI and also Power, including Power Apps and also Industries Analytics and Application Summit. And if you want, you can ask. I mean, just
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. Please let me know if you are able to see the slide that I'm sharing. You can use the chat for that. Yeah, I see it. Okay, thank you, Lena, and everyone. All right, I think there was some connection issue, so be patient with that. I'll just take the presentation from this point, and once Ilgar is back, we can definitely get he can proceed with his presentation. But for now, I would like to say thank you everyone for joining this evening or this afternoon or morning, depending where you are joining from. And thank you for the organizers of this event. As you saw, Ilgar was explaining about that. But mainly, I want to thank every viewer who is interested to start their cloud learning journey. In this case, I'm going to talk about Azure because I'm more related with Azure as one of the cloud services providers. And in this session, what you will learn is it's all going to be about what changed in Azure Fundamentals exam, which is AZ900, and how you can get better prepared for that, and how you can start not just your, for the exam sake, but how you can start learning about the cloud technologies and journey. And keep in mind that it is not just for the technically savvy folk, it's for everyone because cloud is part of our life. And speaking of a journey, I ran a cloud marathoner community, which you will get, more information on the next slide, that you can be part of that community and start learning and helping people who learn about cloud concepts and focus on the, making sure that you can learn as a community. So next slide here, I'll switch to the next slide. All right, here we go. This is a little bit information about myself. My name is Elkhan, and I greet everyone again. And I have been a Microsoft certified trainer from starting since 2007. And I'm also Microsoft Azure MVP. And I'm proud and very honored to be here and, being able to introduce this very exciting topic to the audience. As mentioned before, I'm founder of cloudmarathoner.com, and you see here on the right side, you can see the URL for that blog, so that you can go and check on that. But in addition to that, I'm a core member of Cloud Launch and Learn team, and what we are doing there is we are actively participating in the cloud family events to help the people to learn about cloud technologies and Azure services. So it's enough about myself. I want to actually make sure that I can hear back from you. But before speaking up, could you please just in the chat if you are using if you join from the Zoom, can you just put a little bit information about yourself and what is your expectation, what you want to learn about Azure, and if you have any experience in Azure. So in the chat on the Zoom, please put information about what's your interest, what's the level of Azure you have, Azure knowledge you have, and what are the key takeaways or learning things that you want to get out of this session. That would really help me to tune up my presentation to make sure that it is most helpful to you and you can get something out of it that you can use later in your work or in your learning journey. So you can use the chat. I will give a couple minutes here for everybody to put their feedback in the chat, and then I will continue from here by introducing the topic and a little bit information about company where I'm employed. Okay, so thank you, Eureka, from Atlanta. It's great that you have some AWS cloud experience and you're looking to get some multi-cloud experience. Lena is starting, want to learn this from other person's perspective. Thank you for joining. We'll definitely try to cover that. So we have people who are getting ready to take the AZ900 exam, which is also cool. Okay. All right. Welcome, Nargis from Azerbaijan and trying to learn about Azure, which is awesome. So we have DBAs here and data engineer who is trying to learn about the certification path. That's great. And we have some Jordan, who is also trying to learn about that. We have greetings from everywhere. That's great. We have Chiara Martin in Atlanta as well. Okay, trying to broaden the knowledge in Azure and make sure that your resume actually reflects that. That's also very great and good cause to join this session. All right, it sounds like everybody is keen to learn about that. We have people join from India. Hello. And we have some beginner. Okay, we have MCT as well. Great. So we have colleagues here. Beginner to Azure. Okay, cool. That's all great. Let's continue from where we started. Mainly, next few 2 slides, I will just briefly introduce the company where I'm working, and then we'll dive into the AZ900. Okay, so let me see. All right, so I'm currently employed with T-Rex Solutions LLC, and our main focus is actually to deliver mission critical solutions to our government customers. And there's a information here on the slide about what the company does. And we have very great leadership who totally care about the mission that we deliver to our customers, and as well as employees who are powering this mission and making sure we are successful. So as you see, we are partnered with cloud solution providers here on the right side, and as well as other very good achievements that as a company we have in place. But overall, speaking about the T-Rex, we get national attention after executing the 2020 Census Technical US Census program as a technical integrator. And as you see, we are a mid-sized company and we are growing mainly and delivering the services on government and federal civilian agencies. And as well as, we have a strong partnership with leading cloud solution providers in order to be able to get the best solution for our customers based on the services that we have. And we are really investing into that relationship. And we are really and truly focused on actually delivering multi-cloud solutions based on the problem that our customer is trying to solve. So it's not about, using one solution provider or another one. It's all about what are the needs of our customers and which services would serve them the best to achieve their mission. And in this journey, we have great leadership again. As you see here, this is the infogram that tells the story about US Census 2020, how complex was that, how big was that, and how we tackled that national, I would say, nationally important program by making sure that we deliver and we get actually, we had 0 incidents while delivering this program and services to our customers. Next, let's look into what we are going to cover in this session, right? Because I know that everyone is keen to learn about Microsoft Azure and how to get started the cloud journey. And Azure AZ900 is something that is not just about Azure, but it's also about the cloud concept. So we will start with what is the Azure Fundamentals. We'll look into what's inside that concept and what it covers. Then we'll look into the change that happened in this exam in AZ900. So as you know, it consists of a number of modules, but there was a slightly shift and change starting from the September, October timeframe, so that it's actually has different modules. Is there a very big change? No, it isn't very dramatic, but there is a change that you need to be aware. And we'll look into those changes. Then we'll look into learning tips, what you need to know and what are the good resources that you need to be able to look into them and get proficient before heading toward the exam. And then, of course, I will share the resources that I find very helpful that I shared back with my students so that they are successful in their learning journey. And finally, we'll have some walkthroughs. And this is going to mainly walking you through some demos, which are going to explain how to use those tools. Like, for example, there is a exam simulator that will give you good understanding about what to expect on the exam day in terms of the, software and UI that you are going to interact, so that you are not lost on the day one and you have that confidence when you are having the exam. All right. I hope that sounds good for all of you, and we can kickstart and start covering what is Azure Fundamentals. All right. So first of all, when we speak about Azure Fundamentals and we look into the concept, so keep in mind that it's actually not just one exam. There are 8 different fundamental exams in Microsoft ecosystem. And to give you that idea why I'm saying that, I don't want to confuse you, but I'll bring the slide here in a second. Let me bring that, not the slide, but it's actually my browser here I'm sharing. So as you see, when you go to the browser certification in Microsoft Learn and just type the fundamentals here, that's what I did. So you would see that there's actually 8 different fundamental exams, meaning that Azure AZ900 is actually Azure Fundamentals exam, while overall in Microsoft and Azure ecosystem, there's 8 fundamental exams. And this is going to probably grow even further because there's a landscape of knowledge about cloud. It's always changing, it's dynamic. But I want to drive your attention into that Dynamics 365 is on its own, is a big piece of the services that offered by Microsoft. And because it's also part of the cloud platform, there are different fundamental exams that cover it. But however, again, back to this is the one that we are going to talk about. We are going to talk about AZ900, which is only one of the fundamentals exam that Azure has. All right, so hopefully it makes clear and I don't confuse audience. So next, okay, as we said, there's only one AZ900 Azure Fundamental that focused on the fundamentals of cloud concepts, fundamentals of Azure services, and its architecture and fundamental services like security, identity, and other compute services. Next, regarding these fundamental exams, no matter which one you go to, there's Azure Data Fundamentals, for example, DP900. There's one good thing about these exams, and that good thing is those exams get updated once or twice a year, meaning that before heading to the exam, I strongly advise to my students, and I always watch that as well, to make sure that they are prepared for what to expect on the exam. Usually if there's an update, you would see that notification a month ahead on the exam page. So keep in mind that there might be some eventual updates during the year, and you need to be aware about that. So the good thing though about this Azure fundamental exams is that they never expire. As you know, in Microsoft and Azure certification exams, they are actually expiring. They have 1 year expiration. However, at the end of 1 year, you have opportunity to run the assessment. It's online assessment that you need to spend some time and learn what are the updates. And once you pass this assessment, you are going to renew it for another year. And the good thing is that that assessment renewal is free of charge. You don't have to pay for that. Now, that said, let's focus on AZ900 because that's why we are here. But this is the especially important information if you are just trying to figure out what Azure Fundamental exam you want to start with. My advice always is, hey, if you never did anything on the cloud, go and start with Azure AZ900 exam. And then if you are doing, for example, data-related work, and you want to learn more about how you want to handle data in the cloud environment and in the Azure, then you can go and continue your learning with Azure Data Fundamentals. Okay, that's it. Azure Fundamentals AZ900. So what is there, right? Let's look into that. And this information, I'm going to later share the site where you can actually see those information. But I'm going to walk you through that concepts. So first of all, within Azure Fundamentals, you have you have a portion that say describe cloud concepts. And what it is covered under it is all about what is cloud computing, what are the shared responsibility model, what type of cloud models do you have, and how you should understand consumption-based model, and as well as terminologies like OPEX or CAPEX, where OPEX stands for operational expenditure and CAPEX stands for the capital expenditure. Then in this section, while learning about cloud concepts, you would also need to understand the benefits of cloud services and what does it mean to have high availability, what that term stands behind, and what is the scalability, reliability, and predictability, because those things might sound familiar to you, but there's a distinctive, for example, difference between high availability and reliability. There are different concepts that you need to be aware and being able to explain them. And just to give you a heads up, when we speak about the reliability of the service in cloud, it's all about making sure that if there's some failure in the service, it has an internal mechanism to make sure that it can come back up and be available after a certain time. That means that this service is reliable, even though if there's failures, it will come back and be online within given frame time. But high availability on the other side means that there is certain expectation that this service should be responsive and should be responding to your customer queries on a given schedule, for example. And this high availability, there's like different ways how it is explained, but this is how high available you want to make your services. And keep in mind that the higher availability you offer to your customers, it means the more resources and the more costly it's going to be. Next, within the same concept, it's also going to cover the security and governance of cloud services and how the manageability in the cloud is actually done. And you will also heard these terms, IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service. You have a PaaS, which is the platform as a service, and you have a SaaS, which is the software as a service models. And what's the difference? What are the certain things that those models share and when you should use which model, right? That's really important thing. And this is, I would say, universal across any cloud solution provider, no matter you are doing Microsoft Azure today or you are doing AWS or Google Cloud next day. Next, within the same concepts, what is next part, what is covered in AZ900 is Azure Architecture and Services. And in this part, you are going to learn more about components that make Azure work, like Azure accounts, how you can create one, what are the types of Azure accounts you can have. And then you would look into subscription. What's the purpose of subscription with Azure account and how they are related? And then you will look into physical infrastructure, how Azure is powered and is working. What are the regions? What are the availability zones? Then you will look, of course, into compute and networking infrastructure of Azure cloud services, like what is the Azure virtual machine, how you can have this Azure virtual desktop infrastructure. What does it mean to have containers and functions, or having this virtual network that powers the connectivity of these services, and as well as provides this security layer for those services to function, and as well as how you can you get to know services like ExpressRoute, DNS, and VPN. In addition to that, there's also coverage of Azure Storage Account and what does it mean to have redundant storage account, and how you can use Azure data migration options for your projects when you are planning to have this migration of the services from your on-premise or from your existing data center into the Azure cloud environment, into the subscriptions which you are going to create there, basically. And of course, part of it, there's security, where you want to learn about identity and access management and get familiar with the purpose of Azure Active Directory. And then within that purpose, you get the basics of the authentication and authorization concepts, and you learn about external identities and all this security. I would say it's not just buzzword, but there's security framework like Zero Trust that you get familiar with, and as well as the services like what does it mean to have a conditional access, how you can define the defense in depth and get prepared your infrastructure for that concept, and as well as Microsoft Defender for Cloud, what that service can provide to your customers and to you. Okay, let me check the chat here. Okay, everything seems fine. All right, and finally, the third section within this exam is covering the Azure management and governance. And when we speak about governance and management, the cost management is very important topic, right? So you want to make sure your customers, your organization aware about what to expect in terms of cost of the cloud. You want to have good understanding of the pricing, how you can run total cost of ownership and get those calculations in place, and as well as understand the compliance of running those workloads, those services in Microsoft Azure by using the services like Azure Policy or Azure Blueprints, and how you can have this. In addition to that, what tools and features you can use that Azure provides and how you can manage those services. And there are like different ways how you can manage. You can use Azure Portal, you can use Azure Cloud Shell, you can use the CLI, which stands for Command Line Interface. And of course, there's also Azure Arc, which is a multi-cloud, multi-purpose service that can help you in managing compliance, not just in your Azure environment, but also on your on-prem environment for the servers and SQL databases, and as well as on other clouds. Let's say you're running SQL Server on AWS cloud and you want to make sure it's compliant with the given standards of your company. It's all possible. You can do that with Azure Arc. And of course, we'll look at, it also covers the Azure Resource Manager and ARM templates, which stands for which is the basically way how you can describe your Azure resources and reuse them while deploying and managing. And finally, this section also covers the Azure Advisor, Azure Service Health, and Azure Monitor services, which are important part because you want to have this visibility of the services that you run in the cloud. You want to have a good understanding about the metrics and monitorings that happen on that services. All right, that's it. So we have these three big, I would say, modules, right, that are part of this exam. But what to expect in terms of the percentage, right? How much of these questions will appear? So as you see here on the screen, the weight of questions from each exam objective areas are displayed on the right side. And though this course actually, AZ900, and the modules that you have on Microsoft Learn, they map directly to the exam objectives of Azure Fundamentals exam. And as you see, the higher the percentage here, the more questions you are likely to see in that area. And now let's dive into what changed in Azure AZ900 exam. Now I'm going to cover that part. And before going there, first of all, there are less number of modules if you compare with the previous version, which was there in the beginning of 2022. It's much different in terms of number of modules. And you would see that there are less modules. And first, you would see that on the right bottom corner. So we had like 6 modules, and it was consisting of 6 parts of, about describing the core Azure concepts, describing the Azure services, and then solutions and tools. But now, if you go and look at exam AZ900 page, you would see that it's actually consists only 3 learning passes. We don't call them anymore the modules. It's just 3 learning passes, but each learning pass has modules under them. So if you look at them, it may seem a bit more actually, but these 3 learning passes that you need to start and finish, the ones that are here displayed on the top right corner of the slide, as you see here. Okay, so that said, this is the, let me just make sure everybody, so this is the old way or previous way how it was described, you had 6 modules, but this new format has actually these 3 learning passes. Okay, and but generally speaking, the focus is staying the same, and the focus is on core fundamental services of Azure that you need to learn about. And in order to get you more proficient with that, you want to always, when you study, you want to know what is the study guide, right? And get up to speed with the study guide document and make sure that exam objectives are covered there. And to give you a little bit idea about that, I'm going to actually show this study guide to everyone. And you will have the QCR code at the end of the presentation where you can take the picture. And I will post them also on the on this events chat box. Okay, so let me bring that study guide. So here, this is the study guide that I was talking about. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So is it good and visible for everyone? The study guide, please let me know in the chat. If you can indicate that you can see, and the study guide, exam AZ 900, that would be good. Okay, thank you for responses here in the chat and being part of it. Okay, great. So now the purpose of this document is explained here. I'm not going to spend too much time, but all these links on the left, they are clickable and they open you new resources, which is very valuable if you are studying for the first time for Microsoft Azure exam. And I'm going to just briefly touch about the passing score. It's actually 70% of your responses. If you get 70% of your responses correct, it means you have the passing score. And in addition to that, I want to mention that it is okay to write down there. It's only going to count your correct answer. So if you have wrong answers, they do not remove from your points. You just need to score positively. And if there's, let's say, 4 options and you eliminated 2 of them in the exam question and there's only 2 left, so if you make the good educated guess to find one, that's not penalized, meaning do your best to achieve the maximum score. Don't worry about putting the wrong answer there. Okay, or putting your, let's say, best guess as an answer, let's say like that. Okay, in addition to that, before before the exam, when you do that, you would be asked to create a Microsoft learning profile, and that's the one you create automatically when you start learning about Microsoft Azure AZ 900 course using the site. And what I mean by that is, let me bring that. For example, when you go to your browser and type AZ 900 exam, and then go to the exam page, which is this one. Okay, here on the right side, it will be sign in. So you want to make sure you can log in here on the right side. Oops, I closed that. Okay, here it is. Let me actually make sure that I can make it a little bit bigger so it's visible to everyone. Okay. Oh, actually. Okay, bear with me for a couple seconds here before I remove certain windows and activate. All right, should work now. Okay, let's see. All right, so here on the right side, when you go to the exam and let's say click on one of them, I click the first one, and then let's click on the first module here on the first learning pass. So on the right side here, what I was trying to say is that you want to make sure that you log in. And once you log in, you will have a profile that you would use for your exam registration and making sure that whatever exam you pass is actually associated with your login. And the recommendation here, a general recommendation from Microsoft is you want to use your personal email address so that certifications and notifications that you pass are actually accessible to you. Okay, that's one of the notice important things that you want to know. And while you actually pass certain learning passes, you will get points and you will get level up. Your level will go to the next level, and you will see some progress there. So that's kind of good thing about that. Next, in addition to that, let's look into some learning tips. So what are the learning tips that they're listed here, and you can see them on the exam AZ900 website. First, you want to start with study guide, okay, the one that we start with, and then let me go back to the study guide. Okay, you start with the study guide, you get accustomed. Then I will show you exam sandbox and what to expect from there in order to get accustomed with the navigation and tools that you see on the exam date on the exam page. Then we will look into some community-driven practice tests that you can utilize to get prepared for that exam. But the most important thing here is that, as you see here, you want to watch this title and make sure that this exam guide is the one that is the latest. And plus, you want to get very familiar with the skills that are measured on the exam study guide. In our case, if you look, there are 3 functional groups that we covered a few minutes ago. And first of them is describing the cloud computing. Then within that describing cloud computing, you want to understand the benefits of using the cloud services and cloud service types. These are the IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS that we just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. Then you want to get familiar with Azure architecture and services, namely about components of Azure that some of them I mentioned here. Then you want to get familiar with general compute and networking services that are part of the Microsoft Azure services. And then, of course, you want to get familiar with Azure storage type and services and other things. I'm not going to list them all here. One thing that I want to mention is that as a study resource, we can also use the ones which are here. For exam readiness zone, I just want to mention that the latest AZ900 videos are not there. So there is actually, if you are studying for, let's say, DP 300 exam, which is the Azure about Azure databases, then you can actually look into that. There are like some videos posted there. But overall, documentations, and if you want to choose a learning path where you want to participate to the AZ900 training course, there's also a link to go click on that and look for the available courses. Okay, so this is really a nicely compiled document, study guide, and always check with this document, because this should be your guiding document getting ready and for the exam objectives for the AZ900. All right. Next here, free sample questions, right? So those free sample questions are actually provided within the study guide. And if I go back there and scroll down or up, take a practice test. Okay. Let me look at the links here. Here we go. So sample questions. So those sample questions are the ones which are listed here. So let me make it a little bigger here. So those sample questions, once you click on that, it will bring you this site where you have 20 sample questions. And here's the trick, right? You don't want to start with sample questions if you didn't finish the learning modules. First, you have to finish the learning modules. Then you want to try your knowledge by looking at the sample questions and putting your best effort in answering them. Okay. At the end of this page, you will see the answers and some explanations. But before diving into the answers, please go ahead and complete them on your own, because that's going to be another good learning practice or learning exercise for you to get ready for the AZ900 exam. Okay, to the exam day, getting ready for the exam day. Then actually you have exam sandbox, and that exam sandbox also, it was listed on the study guide. I will go and navigate there now. Okay, it's not here. I will have the link for that. It's basically ak.ms. It's called, let me look at that. It's exam demo. All right, so what it is basically, it will load a simulator, and this simulator that you see here on the screen is going to be almost identical to the thing that you would see on the exam day, because it's a generic for most Microsoft and Microsoft Azure exams. You will get some disclaimer, you would have to agree, and then you would see navigation here on the right. Let me make sure. So once you agree with that, you would get this navigation activated for you. So you just say next, and then you'll have similar thing, but here it would, on your real exam, it will say, hello, welcome to AZ900. You will have between 50 to 60 questions there. That's expected number of questions. And you will have approximately an hour to complete them all. They are really not complicated questions. There are some yes, no answers for some certain questions. And there are certain questions that have 4 options that you should select one of them. But what I say by it's not a complicated exam is that later on in your career, if you want to go for associate level exam with Microsoft or Microsoft Azure, those exams are much more advanced if you compare that with the Azure fundamental ones. And here on the Azure fundamentals exam, you shouldn't expect, there would be no labs. Okay, so keep in mind there would be no labs. But again, my advice during the training to students is you want to make sure that you at least provision a free trial Azure account and get accustomed with some navigations there. So anyway, so this sandbox, you will just go through this wizard. It will say, hey, start this question. And the good thing is that you would see a way how those questions are structured. Here on the right side, you would see actually the timer that will take. So this is again simulation. You don't have to be perfect with this, but you want to learn about navigation and how to deal with types of questions that you would see. So here, as you see, for example, the first question is a regular question where you have some question and then you have options, right? So you want to make sure, of course, you can select only one option here, and depending what you like, you can select it. But in this case, imagine that it's a question about Microsoft Azure, and it's asking about the services, and it's asking about the service that's the compute service. In your case, if you see Azure Virtual Machine, you will just click on that, and that's going to be your answer. Then, of course, from navigations, you can go to the next. You would see different type of questions. So each of these questions will come with a different type here on simulator. But on the exam day, most of the questions, they will come as a question with multiple options. You select one, or it can also come in a way that you have to select, for example, through in this question, it asks you to select 2 of these options. And in my case, I'm just making random guess here and saying next. Then you see its time remaining and your progress is visible here. And then you will have this drag and drop type of questions. So where you will drop, for example, relevant office or chair. So you just finish them all. So this is a drag and drop type of questions that may appear on your exam. And then you may, so this type of question will not appear on your exam. This is a bit advanced where you have to know order of certain things if you are, let's say, preparing installation for Azure Firewall. So there are like prerequisites that you need to have in place. So these order questions are more related to that. So where you would have to not just drag and drop, but you would have to define the order, how this task needs to be done. Again, this type of question would not appear on AZ900 because this is a bit advanced topic. And next, you just go through each of them. You'll see this is also advanced topic. You wouldn't expect anything like that to happen. you may have this type of question where you have a drop down and you select the correct explanation of the term that it belongs to. Okay, this is also advanced one where you have to look into the, this visualization and select certain things. So this is scenario type question. Now the question number 8, this will definitely not appear on your exam because this is for associate level and above type of exams. These questions are more complicated, and you say okay, and this time you will get some exhibit where you would look at the additional information before deciding on the answer of this question number 9. And it may have, so this is also a bit advanced type of questions that appear on associate or expert level exams. And then at the end of that, you will have chance to look at your answers. You can look what you didn't answer, so you can go back and answer. You can also put some comments for certain questions, but if you want to put some comments on certain questions or a comment, you can say review later, or you can say leave a feedback. And if you put that in place and go to the end of the exam, you would see that we will have each of them displayed. Let's see. Yep. So you'll have one for review, one for the comment. If you want to give some feedback about the question to the exam provider. And this thing actually happens after the exam main time is finished. So this is just will happen at the end of it, at the end of your exam experience. Okay. And then you can of course finish this, and then you'll get all the feedback. So here at the feedback, you can provide the feedback because we selected one, so you can provide feedback for each question and finish it. Okay, so let me go back to the slides. These are so we looked into exam sandbox in terms of UI, what to expect, what type of question may appear there, and how to get familiar with overall navigation. All right, that's the idea. Next, learning resources. This is really important. So first of all, sample practice tests. I would advise go and do all the practice tests, get ready for that, and get some feeling about the questions. That will also give you understanding how much of exam objectives you covered in your studies. Then next thing, I would advise to get your Azure trial subscription. If you go and type Azure free subscription, there's a way that for your given name, first name, last name, and credentials, you can get free trial subscription that you can use for the next 30 days with certain credits on it. So this is useful actually to have in place. Next, if you have a training budget, I would advise to go and look into official practice tests are recommended by Microsoft Learn, which is the MindHub practice test. And I will, will just click. I'll put this slide so they are going to be clickable and you can get the reference. But this MindHub practice test is also another tool that you can use. I strongly avoid to not use any dumps or do not rely on the dumps that you can find on the internet. They might mislead you and it will be just waste of your time because you wouldn't get the knowledge that you are trying to learn about. And plus, even if, for example, you pass the exam, it wouldn't be valuable. You can't use those knowledge in your work and in your interactions. And finally, watch an exam cram video. There's Peter Ziegler is one of my friends, MCT friends. He has created this practice exam cram video, and I will show the URL and link where you can go ahead and try that one. And after watching that exam cram video, there's also knowledge check 120 questions that's coming with that. And you are going to get I will show you the QCR code where you can scan with your phone and get into that site and get that link. It's part of this deliverable. So these are the main kind of learning resources that I advise to my students. And the recent one, actually, this week, one of my students passed AZ900 with very high score. So these tips are really, really working and helping for students to learn and be successful in their exam. Next, before questions and answers, as I Okay, let me actually show the links. So these are the QCR links. So if you have a phone that can scan this QCR code, please go ahead and do that. This will give you understanding about these practice test 120 questions that I just mentioned a few slides before. You will get this exam cram video link here from Peter Ziegler. It's approximately 2 hours long, so I'll plan your time accordingly. And keep in mind that certain things that are covered in this exam cram video, they are actually, this video was done in close to the beginning of year, so it's covering the previous version of the AZ900 exam, but most of the concepts and services, they stay relevant. So meaning that I would say 80-85% of this video is relevant to your exam, so it still have value to get to watch that. But here's the thing, don't watch that video before finishing your learning modules, Microsoft Learn modules that we started with, and I show you there's like 3 learning passes, and under them you have this module. So first start with those modules and then go ahead and watch this exam cram video. Then it will make a lot of sense, where you will I would say remember, and you can rehearse. Basically you can repeat your knowledge, revive your knowledge, your understanding, and see what you got correct and what you just missed, and you have to look at that to make sure that you are covering that exam objective. Exam sandbox, we just made a demo of that. It's aka.ms exam demo. That's the slide, and if you want to go there, this is the link to check. And sample questions, these are the 20 sample questions from Microsoft Learn that you can check. So if this is the where, so let me give everybody like 15 seconds or so to make sure that you take these resources, you put them in your, in your phone, or you can put those links somewhere that you can use. But again, I'm going to publish this presentation, PowerPoint presentation, and put the link here on the meetup.com under the event comments, so that you can go to the GitHub repo and get that resource. Okay, so if everybody is done here, 5 more seconds to get the this important learning resources and get get accustomed with them. So all right, so I will go back to the previous slide to before see what we actually. Okay, so what we covered in this presentation, and thank you everybody for joining and staying with me for the whole presentation. First, we start with what's Azure Fundamentals. So you learn that when we talk about Azure Microsoft Fundamentals, there's more than one exam, but we wanted, in this session, we actually focused on AZ900, which is the Azure Fundamentals for Cloud Concepts and Azure Core Services. Then we looked into learning tips, how to get you prepared for that, and what are the good resources to have it under your belt, so that you can use those resources for your preparation. And finally, we had some short walkthrough of exam demo, and we looked into the exam AZ900 study guide, so that you get accustomed with that information, with that resources. Okay, and that said, before saying goodbye, I want to bring the floor back to Ilgar and to the people. So if you guys have any questions, it would be my pleasure to help you with that question. So you can type those questions in the chat if you join through Zoom, because that's where I can see that. Or if somebody wanna type those questions here, let me know. So I'll give everybody another 30 seconds kind of to wrap up your understanding and put the question about the exam. One thing I would tell you about the exam is that there are like certain tips, right, before you getting prepared for the exam day. And this is, first one is, you need to be relaxed and try not to overthink. Try not to overthink the questions, meaning that whatever question you see, I'll just look at the surface meaning of that question and answer that way. I had very I would say, knowledgeable students who overthink the question during the exam, and that's why they fail the exam. So try not to overthink the questions. That's kind of rule number one. Be relaxed. And if you want to second guess your answers, if you get enough time at the end, usually those things don't go, they are going wrong way unless you rely on your material and knowledge. So this is a good thing to do, but try not to overthink that. Otherwise you can get into the rabbit hole. Then while choosing between proctored, while you are actually scheduling the exam, you will have this Pearson view. You can choose between Pearson view, or you can choose between Certiport. So there are like two providers, exam providers. If you want to go to the exam center, right? But if you have option to do that in a proctored way from the comfort of your office or home, you want to make sure that you actually comply with the conditions which are there, meaning you need to be in a silent room. Nobody should disturb you. You should have a camera and good internet connectivity in order to be able to do that. Another tip about the question, I would say, is have a contact number of proctor organization if you are doing that exam as a proctored. Because if something goes wrong, your internet goes down in the middle of the exam, or power outage, or something happen that's out of your control, then you can at least know that what number you need to call or contact in order to be able to make sure that you can take that exam next time. Okay, so they can reschedule that for you and help you in rescheduling. Then another tip that I always try to give to my students is take your cert exam within 1 or 2 weeks of completion of your course. Try not to delay it too much. Even though if you scheduled an exam, you can always go and reschedule that 24 hours before the exam day. So that's kind of the beauty of it. However, again, keep in mind that once you finish the course, you don't want to delay within a week or two. Go ahead and complete your exam. Take your exam. And of course, share your learning journey on social and learn from the peers while you are doing this. On a LinkedIn or Twitter, they are the good platforms to do that. And keep in mind that it's not just you. There are many other people as well who might be getting ready for that exam or trying to pass it, and or learn about the cloud, right? Put their first step forward, learning about the cloud and Microsoft Azure. That's really a good way to do that. And most importantly, try to have some fun and have always this learning mindset, because it's not just about one exam or about Microsoft Azure Cloud Fundamentals. Once you pass this exam, which you will, I'm pretty sure, if you put your energy forward, you would be ready to tackle any other exam there on your way, and have this always learning mindset that will keep you propelling forward. All right. So I'm looking at the questions here, and in the chat, I don't see anything or any question is not, or if there is any, it's not visible to me. So that said, I want to thank you everyone who joined this session, especially for invite from Ilgar and from organizers, Baku BI Group, and as well as Power Blue Orlando Power BI User Group. Here you see my details here on the right side, and on the top here, this is basically where you can get in touch with me. You can get connected with me on social platforms like LinkedIn or Twitter. And if you have any question or any doubt, you want to get like second opinion or get some advice, feel free, to ask that. I'll be more than glad to help, and join and be part of the Cloud Marathoner community that I'm running for everyone to succeed in their cloud journey. That's it. Let me know if you have any questions here in the chat. Otherwise, have a great evening, and keep yourself motivated. I hope this sharing will give you a little bit spice in your ingredients to make this journey successful for you, and you will succeed. I mean, you will succeed in your journey. And of course, and if you do succeed or you have any question, let me know. I mean, you can always ping me on social, you can tag me, and I would be helpful. I would be glad to help you, given the time that I have. Whenever I'm available, I will try to provide my support to you and make sure as a community you are all succeeding in this cloud learning journey. Oh yeah, thank you everyone who put their messages on the on this Zoom, and thank you Nathan, Arthur, Eureka, Dagiana, and Gloria. Thank you all, guys, and thank you for the host. Thank you for Ilgar and everybody who was hosting this. Thank you, Nargis. And everyone who made this evening were able to join and spend their evening to learn about Microsoft Azure journey and how to get started with Microsoft Azure AZ900 exam and preparation guide. Thank you. All right. I will stop sharing here. Okay. Let's see if internet connectivity issues are resolved. Hi, Elgar, are you there? I think I can end this. So again, thank you everyone for joining. I'm ending this session here, and thank you for being patient, even though we had this some network and connectivity issues on one side of the hoster, but you made the day. You learned what you came from, and let me know if you have any questions. Again, I will post the slides as a PDF on my GitHub account, and I will put the link in the meetup group from where you joined the course. All right. Okay, take care, everybody. Nice seeing you all, and have a wonderful evening or afternoon. Bye. Happy Friday.
Elkhan.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Really, I'm so sorry.
No problem. It's out of your control, so it's no problem. Yes, really. I think we had the session, so people were able to join and enjoy the session. I asked some questions, and it's recorded, so I think it was pretty good. So no worries.
Exactly. I had only just to watch to join, to participate in this session just for overall 10 minutes, not more. Due to my internet, I don't know what's happening with my internet really. So, but I was in contact over, WhatsApp here.
Yes.
So whoever joined, they appreciate. They enjoyed the session. Thank you really very much. And we were only also live streaming, so it's going to be located. On my YouTube channel. So good. I will share also this session. Sure. Thank you. So no problem. Thank you very much. Really. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, experience.
Thank you for invite. Sure. Thank you for invite, and we'll keep in touch. And have a great good evening, guys. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.